All right, everyone. So we're going to start breaking down the watch list here for tomorrow morning, for Monday, November 11th. It is Veterans Day, so the banks are it's a bank holiday, but the stock market is open. What this means for cash traders is that cash will not be settled from Friday. So if you're a cash account trader, I would plan to expect that you will not have settled cash from any trades you took on Friday. The cash will settle on Tuesday. So a little bit of a funny thing there. We had this just like 2 weeks ago on a holiday. I can't remember what holiday it was, but back in was it September, October? Anyways, it was a Monday holiday, and same thing, no settled cash. And during that time, I was still doing my small account challenge, so I was surprised by the fact that I couldn't trade. So over the weekend, we have Bitcoin making all-time highs, over $80,000 per coin. So Bitcoin hitting all-time highs over the weekend here. S&P 500 hit all-time highs on Friday. You know, obviously we've cryptocurrency on just knowing that Trump had, it's a campaign promise. Who knows if it'll be kept, but that, he would be really good for cryptocurrency and everything else. I also saw the SEC, I think chairman, Gary Gensler, the one who, of course, was involved. I mean, with crypto regulation, stuff like that, sounded like he's stepping down in December. I don't know if it's at the end of the year or December 31st or sometime in mid-December. So a new chairman will come, and I don't know what that's going to mean for crypto. But anyways, so some interesting things happening there in the news over the weekend. I mean, typically, yeah, I mean, you can get news over the weekend, I suppose, any weekend. But this is, with this being sort of the first weekend after Trump being nominated, or I guess he's what do they call it? President-elect or whatever. But anyways, since he won the election, now headlines coming out. I saw a headline about Israel and Trump, having 3 calls in the last couple of days. Quote, very productive. I saw something about Putin saying, "Oh, this is going to be really good for Ukraine." So, I mean, it's all these things are going on right now. So I didn't look at S&P futures. I usually don't check them, but it looks like right now they're over 6,000. So for S&P, so SPY, S&P 500. So it's over 600. So we're actually up in after hours right now, or in the futures market. Okay, so as I sit down here right now, let's say this was Monday morning and it's 7 a.m. So if I was sitting down right now, the first thing I would check is my top gainers scanner. So I would check my top gain scanner to see what's moving right now, what already started moving. And of course, I won't know. I can't say right now what's going to be on that scan because it's still Sunday, but I can make maybe some predictions. So we've got, I'm going to pull up another scan here, which is our after hours top gainer scanner. So after hours top gainers, these were the stocks that made the biggest moves in the after hours session. We've got, boy, DXYZ. I have to say that I am really impressed. Let me link this up here. I thought this wouldn't really be worth trading because it's an ETF, but it's definitely moving up. This is a invest principally in equity and equity-linked securities, in growing venture capital-backed emerging companies, primarily in the United States. So, where did I looked at a headline on this one. Must have been somewhere back here. Maybe it was this. There was one thing on here that I noted. Let me see if I can find this again, which maybe I should have paid more attention to at the time, but oh well. So they had a list of the investments that they were holding in these different privately held companies. And I could have sworn I saw SpaceX on there, but now let me see. I'm going to have to go into, so BAM SEC. So what was the ticker again? DXYZ. 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 So it's a little bit different from, I don't know, maybe your typical company in the sense that their primary business is investing in other companies. Let's see. Which one of these? These are the two that I opened. So is it this one? Let me just look for SpaceX. Yeah. So they are invested in SpaceX. So I don't know. That might be helping them a bit because of Trump and Elon Musk. It's interesting. Yeah. So, anyways, so this is going up. Of course, SpaceX is not a publicly traded company, so the only way to invest in it is to invest through another company that is doing private equity with them. So, in any case, DXYZ is a little higher price. So this one, although it may be gapping up on the scanner again on Monday morning, I'm not sure that I would take a position in it. And let's see, does it say? So cost of investments at 14 million. These are, so they've got 86 million in investments. Their fair value of investment is 54 million. What are they down so much on? Maple Bear? What's a Maple Bear? Maple Bear, they're down like 90% on. Looks like they're down on a bunch of stuff. I mean, clearly. Discord, down on Discord. Jeez. Huh. OpenAI. I think they wouldn't be down on that. So, but in any case, yeah, I don't know if they're invested in a big enough way. And, anyways. So, all right. Well, so that's maybe, one of the things I would note. So I take a look at these after hours scanners, and then this gives me kind of a starting point. Like, all right, I'll take a look at this one. What do we have here? REVB. This one I've traded before. I honestly don't have a lot of interest in it. It's not a stock that's been particularly profitable for me. So it's just a little cheaper. Sometimes these cheap ones I find difficult. FOXO, that one put in a nice bounce on Friday. Came all the way back up to $1 a share. Really pretty impressive. So we are still seeing attention in penny stocks. The challenge there for me, and I mentioned this on Friday, is that attention has been a little dispersed these last few trading sessions where we've had a number of penny stocks that have made really, really big moves. And, FOXO, 783 million shares. And, when we have those penny stocks making those big moves, they detract and pull attention away from what might have otherwise been a potential stock I'd consider. SEZL, too expensive, $430 a share. Again, good to see it moving, but no real opportunity there. So that's our after hours top gainer scanner. The next scan that I check usually on the weekends is my continuation scanner, just to kind of scroll through this and ask myself, is there anything on this list that I should be watching for Monday? And AGFY, this was one that gave us a pretty big move. So I'd check out the daily chart on this one. Is this something I should consider? And I would say maybe. I mean, it made this high of 7 and it sold off to 4. And now it's been slowly grinding back up. So the daily chart probably is looking like a bull flag. It is, but high volume red candle right there. So how do we overcome that? News, right? We need to see news. And if we don't have news, then I don't think we're going to have the high volume that's going to really send it. If we broke through this pivot right here at 763, then we've got room up to the top of this candle right here, which was another high volume red day. So high volume red day sold off, rallied back up. High volume red day sold off, rallying back up. But we need to break through that level if we're going to really have any chance of another trade. The float's pretty low at 455,000 shares, so it might be something to pay attention to. Let's see if they have a shelf registration. So they do. So this is a company that could sell more shares. Now let's look at their filings. So balance sheet, profit loss. So current assets. Okay. Now let's look at their profit loss. So they're currently operating at, let's see, what was their gross profit? 1.2. So they're operating at quite a substantial loss. Well, how much cash do they have on hand? Oh my gosh. It's like nothing. Yikes. What is this one? 18 million? Inventory. See, that's questionable. You know, I mean, just generally speaking, because is the inventory marked at, you know, what is that an inflated number, or is it being marked at what it's actually worth if they sell it, and if they have to sell it at a discount, perhaps? So it's a company that might need to raise money. With the shelf registration, we may see that. We could see that happen. So that's a potential issue there with AGFY. All right, so that one's on the continuation scan. Sometimes what I'll also do is I'll just look at my my calendar for the last month or the last week and see what I did well on. By the way, this is my equity curve since 2016. So you see I had this long period of like nice steady gains up towards about $2 million there, and then explosion, boom, the pandemic. And then things kind of cooled off. What happened? Federal Reserve increased interest rates, cryptocurrency, you had FTX collapse. There were a lot of things that weighed on the market and on sentiment in general. And then what do we see happening right now? We're starting to pull away. And this is interesting because I don't know if this, is the beginning of a move up that's going to last for, 2 years, or if this is just, a little blip and then it kind of smooths out again. I don't know. But anytime I'm starting to pull away from kind of my standard deviation, it's something I pay attention to, and that's definitely going on right now. So I do think it's still time for me to continue to be pretty aggressive. Last 7 days, profit $109,000, accuracy about 69%, almost 70%. Average winners $2,000, average losers $800. Biggest loss was $5,500. Took a total of 99 trades. But let's look at the actual stocks I traded. So the one I lost the most on was ISPC. The one I made the most on, ALBT, AGFY. So this is what I want to do. We already looked at AGFY. Now let's look at ALBT. I want to ask myself, are any of these stocks worth considering for trades coming into Monday or early next week? So what was this? ALBT. So this is the one that gave us a big move in pre-market trading. It's given us a couple big moves, but both times it failed to hold those levels. So the daily chart, not really supporting taking a trade. I mean, it's great that we got the move and it had news, but daily chart's not supporting any trades on it. SONN, I believe they did an offering at the end of the day. Yeah, so had nice trades on this, and then that one unfortunately sold off, and they did an offering, secondary offering on the open market. AREB, another one, you get that volatility, that move from $3 to $6, and then back to $3. BNZI, let's see if this one's any better. No, that was actually a really bad one. VMAR. So what we're getting on a lot of these is this volatility, right? Now this one, I missed this pop, but I traded the next one coming back up right there. Staff. So I think it's notable that none of the trades, from the last week or so are really set up for what I would say is a continuation trade. So that means tomorrow I'm really going to be focused primarily on this top gainer scanner. So what's in the top 5 positions? What do the stocks look like from the perspective of price, float, volume, percentage change? Am I familiar with the tickers? What's the sector? What is the common theme? If you watch my episode that I uploaded just yesterday here on YouTube, I talked about making $397,000 through the month of October. And I'll just put this video up here so you could take a peek at it. So Yeah, so that was right here. So $397,000 in the month of October. And I talk about using stock profiles to maximize profits in a hot market. And what I meant by that, for those that didn't already watch the video, you should check it out. But what I meant by that is I created a profile of the type of stocks that were making the biggest moves in October. And then every time I saw a stock that pretty closely met that profile, I jumped in it quickly and aggressively and tried to capitalize on the move as much as I could. So it benefits you to spend some time creating a little bit of a profile of what you think are the type of stocks that are making the biggest move. And I talk about the profile that I'm using right now in that episode. So you could check that out after you watch this game plan if you want. But I think, as I sit down in the morning and look at the top gainer scanner, I'm going to be asking myself, how closely do these stocks meet the current profile? Do they have news? What's the sector, price, float, everything else? Because there's a profile right now that is sort of the anatomy of a stock that can go up 200%. And look, if something's totally outside that profile, but it has a nice news catalyst, I might take a trade on it, but I probably shouldn't expect it'll go up 200%. If I'm looking for another 200% squeeze, the stocks that are going to make those moves, I think, are going to meet this profile that I'm currently working off of. So right now in this market, it is hot, and we are seeing, in fact, this is very, very typical right now that we're seeing stocks make these really explosive moves, and a lot of them are pulling back, but some of them are holding up. And if we look back at DRUG, this is the one that really started this cycle of momentum, which, if you recall, it went from about $2-3 a share all the way up to $70. And yes, it came back down to 25. And then it rallied back up. They put out more news and it rallies a second leg up. And this time it breaks the previous high. It goes up to 75, goes up to $80. And then it pulls back. But every time it dips down, there's people buying it up. Dips down, people buying it up. Dips down, people buying it up. And it's still holding at $47 a share like 2 weeks later. That's pretty impressive for a stock to go from $2 or $3 to holding at 47. And that's in spite of them raising capital. So they already did an offering and it's still holding up. Now, I'm not saying I'm looking to trade this necessarily right now, but I'm just saying this is an example of kind of the best case scenario in a way, where you have a stock that starts squeezing and just doesn't quit. It doesn't give up. So, I think that's what we're all looking for and hopeful to find. And although we may not have it, we're continuing to see a lot of stocks that make a 200-300% move and then, within a few days have retraced that move. I think shorts are being cautious because, you don't want to get in front of a freight train like this and suddenly, have it just keep going higher and higher and higher and you're stuck. So as long as a stock meets the profile, which we sort of based initially off of drug, I'm going to continue to trade pretty aggressively and try to capitalize as much as I can on this window. During this window, it's kind of like you've got to strike while the iron's hot. And right now, I feel like the market is very hot. It's the hottest it's been in a couple of years. And that was even before the election. And now since the election, the overall market has gotten this extra boost, which, we don't know if this is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event where people are excited about just, and I say people, not everyone, certainly, but the financial markets are excited about the short-term prospects of Trump coming into office, because it means that we likely won't see increased regulation of big hedge funds, big investment banks, and the stock market in general, which means those types of investors are more likely to take money out of bonds and put them into equities, because now they feel much more confident in equities. And then number two, not expected to see an increase in corporate tax in a Republican administration. That's going to help the bottom line of a lot of these big companies that are on the public markets, and therefore investors are putting their money into those stocks. And then you have companies that currently face a lot of taxes, just in the way they run their business. They're exposed to a lot of taxes. So high tax companies are also benefiting from the prospect of a Republican administration. So you've got a couple of things there in the short term that have the market responding. I mean, this is why the market's up as much as it is just in the last 4 days or whatever. So, and there's some other variables in there as well. But just to summarize, so but then come January, does reality set in, and the market starts to roll over? Is this a lot of enthusiasm of just overexcitement? You think about Warren Buffett. Why is it that he has $350 billion sitting in cash? He's not capital. He didn't get to capitalize on any of this move. And this was a huge move. What's he waiting for? Why is he trying to time something? Everything's too expensive? I mean, he's selling. He's selling stakes in companies that are up a lot, right? He's unwinding Apple. He's got other companies he's unwinding positions in. So, I think a lot of people are wondering what the move is there. That's $350 billion of cash that's come out of the market and is sitting on the sidelines waiting for something. But what's it waiting for? Now, it's going to be hard to find really good valuations in this kind of market. I mean, the fact is, you look at the market from just a couple years ago, from the bottom down here, this pullback, 340-ish, all the way up to 600. I mean, it's a huge move in 2 years, right? You look at the low of the pandemic back here at 225, market's up well over 100% off those lows. So if you're, for your outlook here, I don't know, I don't follow Warren Buffett super closely, but, I don't know if he was adding to positions in this area, and which obviously in hindsight would have been smart if anyone did. But now when you get up to these areas, if you're looking at valuation and you're trying to find a company that is disconnected from its true market value, that's trading at a discount to its true value, and you need enough of a margin of safety for that discount to be worth taking a position on, this is a market that might be hard to find good deals. It's hard to find good deals in real estate right now. Everything's so expensive. It's hard to find good deals in the stock market. I mean, there are companies that are overlooked. Of course, a lot of people think GameStop has been overlooked based on how much cash they have on hand and everything else. So there are companies out there that maybe are being overlooked, but I can't imagine Warren Buffett would buy GameStop. But it might be a tough market if you're sitting in cash, which is why they tell investors like us not to try to time the market, just to add $100 into the market every month, or $1,000, or whatever it is you can afford. And, if you do that every month, then during the bottom of the pandemic, when the market was at its lows, you're adding down here. And you buy more shares when you add at lower prices. And then at the tops, you add, but you're buying less shares. And so you get a blended cost basis that's sort of like a moving average, right? It's a little bit, it's just the average over the last 12 months. And yeah, if all of a sudden you have a correction where you give back 12 months of profit in one, month, then, you'll be down. But of course, you keep adding on that month and the next month as well. And, when you look at the big picture, that's the strategy that's paid the best over the years. Is just continue to do cost basis averaging. So, but that's obviously not what Warren Buffett's doing right now. So kind of interesting there. I know there's a lot of people talking and speculating about that and what that all means. Especially, I mean, not to be, morbid, but if he all of a sudden passed away and, you've got all this cash that's just sitting there, then it's like, whoa, that would probably throw some real, I feel like investors would rather have him have made his final investments before he passes away than to pass away with a ton of cash, because then whoever makes the decisions, not that they're not already part of the decision-making process, but people might question those first investments a little bit more as a new kind of person's at the helm and is building their track record. So I don't know, but nonetheless, for small cap traders, the IWM continuing, to hold its gains from last week. So we've got the IWM coming up just shy of all-time highs, and we're positioned really well. So I think small cap traders, we're in a good spot. Doesn't mean tomorrow, Monday, is going to be a home run day, but I think generally speaking, for the next 6-12 months, we're positioned pretty well. So I'm looking forward to continuing to kind of analyze and study what the current profiles are to monitor as the profile of what's hot shifts, and to keep showing up every single day and try to capitalize as much as I can on the opportunities in front of us. So for those of you guys that want to join me, I'll put a link in the comments and pin to the description, or it'll be top of the description and pin to the top comment, where you can do a 2-week trial here at Warrior Trading if you want to do a 2-week trial, or if you want to watch one of my free day trading courses, there's a link where you could check those both out in this episode. So thank you again for tuning in. And if you didn't already check out my video of how I create those stock profiles, you should check that out. Okay, all right, that's it for me. I'll see you guys back here on Monday morning. I'll remind you as always that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow. I'll see you guys back here in the morning.